Welcome to the Legit Mindset, Failures, Lessons, and Breakthroughs. I'm Curtis McCullom, the host. I'm a certified clinical hypnotherapist and the founder of Bespoke Human Potential Coaching. Here we dive into the real stories of challenges and comebacks, where leaders share the setbacks that shaped them and the growth that followed. Because real success isn't about avoiding failure, it's about transforming through it. And this is the Legit Mindset. Today, I'm joined by Corey Harlock. Corey is, his career reflects a long-standing commitment to service. You know, he's been around for 15 years in hospitality and before in reinventing himself in recruiting, he founded Purpose, connecting the right talent with the right opportunities. After relocating to Houston in 2014 and being introduced to Vistage, it inspired him to find key hire to help small businesses and owners with insider organization and talent expertise to grow from where they are to where they want to be. But like most of us that comes to this show, their story didn't unfold without challenge. What I appreciate about this conversation is that we're not just going to talk about the highlights. Most of the time people talk about the highlights and all those great things, which is good. But we're here to talk about the moments that shaped them, the awareness that followed, and the real growth took place on the other side. Corey, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Curtis. I appreciate it.
Well, kind of to help the audience kind of get oriented to who you are, let's start here. So today, so who are you today? What are you focused on now? What in this season of life and in your work, what are you kind of focusing on right now, Corey?
There's a Canadian author named Robin Sharma. He's kind of like the Canadian version of Tony Robbins, but not
Okay.
really. But he says the first half of your life is for impact. The second half of your life is for legacy.
Okay.
And man, I'm getting old, so I think I'm in the legacy side of my life. But what's important to me now is my family, my connection with my wife, driving my kids all over town for their sports. I mean, my daughter's 17, so she's hardly ever home, but staying connected to those guys
Yes.
and running my business, right? Keeping the bills paid and the lights on is part of it too. But I think, and on that side of things, for me, the impact is we work with small business owners, $5 to $25 million. No one's out to help those guys,
Right.
men and women. No one's starting businesses to help them, and that's exactly why I started Key Hire. And the challenge to myself was, how do you find a way to be profitable, have a fair and equitable model for both sides to make it worthwhile? And we've done that. But it's really to give them give them an executive resource that is normally out of reach to them, but like a full service, take care of them. I got you. We'll
Right.
do all the hard work because we want you to be successful, and we can use our expertise to help you get these high experience, high capacity people into your business. So then which will then open their eyes to go, oh, I didn't know you could do this. I didn't know we could do this. I didn't know this was an option. And then it almost kind of helping them expand through the people we put in the business. I often go back to my clients after we've worked with them, and my favorite question to ask them is, do you have have you redefined what a good employee looks like after working with us? And the
Right.
answer is usually, hell yeah. Like, yes, 100%. We now know what good looks like. We used to think we did, but we didn't.
Now they
So
know.
that's fun.
The thing about it is, like, I like the fact that you now have a current impact in understanding what's really important. But like I said before, most of us had a journey. There was a journey to
Yeah.
get there. So kind of
Yeah.
share with the audience a little bit about a setback or heartbreak or something that really kind of just knock you on your behind, You're
Yeah,
like, wow, what's
I have
happening?
one instance that did all of that. So when I was in college, like I was raised by blue collar. My parents divorced. I was raised by my mother till I was 16. Moved with my dad when I was 16. He's a blue collar guy, retired from GM, working on the floor, General Motors.
Right.
So uh, I wasn't raised. Uh, it, Blue collar would probably maybe be a nice way to put it in some instances, right, throughout your life.
Right.
And I went to school for hotel restaurant, food and beverage. I wanted to work in hotels. And my first year of my program, I went away to do an internship at a place called Jasper Park Lodge, probably one of the most beautiful places on the planet. And I fell in love for the first time, met a girl, fell in love with for the first time. And she came from a very wealthy family. And
Right.
after being together for, I don't know, 6 months or whatever it was, um, she broke up with me and she said, uh, you know, I can't stay with you because if I stay with you, I don't think I can give my kids what my dad gave me.
Wow.
Right. And I now understand that. I understand where she was coming from. But at the time, it was a gut punch. And my brother was always like the Yoda on my shoulder. And so he was away at university. So for Christmas break, I said, I'm going to come drive up and pick you up. And I was, you know, telling him my story on the way home, feeling sorry for myself, and he gave me the best advice I've ever gotten in my life in that moment. And it was 2 sentences.
What was it?
He said, "You can prove her right or you can prove her wrong."
Hmm.
And I like to think I've been proving people wrong since that day.
Wow. So now
That's the motivation.
that's a lot of motivation. I mean, so because you think back about the fact that it's almost she was like saying, "You're not good enough for me," or "You'll never be able to provide for me." Right?
Correct. Yeah, it's exactly what she was saying. Yeah,
Wow.
and I know the psychology of it now, right? Like, um, women who come from wealthy families never marry down. Men who come from wealthy families will marry someone below their income level, but a woman from wealth, just generally, they do not. And I get it. I get it now
Right.
because I wasn't at her level then.
Yeah. But now looking back, how did that formulate your mindset? I know you said your brother said one or two things is going to happen, right? You're going to
Yeah.
either prove her right or prove her wrong. How did that now bring to where you are now? That particular incident.
Yeah, it just caused me to understand, like, there was a big mountain to climb, and it was me against the world, and I was gonna prove everyone wrong. It wasn't just her, I took it personal, and I was like, "I will be successful, um, come hell or high water," and I went to work.
Wow. I mean, so now you had that shift in mindset. Now, so did you stay in the beverage industry? I know you made a
I
transition somewhere along
Yeah,
the
yeah.
way. So some things did happen,
Sure.
and
So
that you have that story. Now, how did that continue to impact your life along the way?
yeah, so, I used to work in the Canadian Rockies, Banff, Lake Louise, that area. It's a beautiful area. All it is hotels and restaurants, and, I became the youngest director of food and beverage in that valley. I was, like, 26, 27 years
Wow.
old. I was managing the dining room I was managing. We got written up as one of the top 10 dining rooms in the country. I won my first Wine Spectator award for building that wine list. They had a really small little wine list, and I built a $500,000 wine cellar and got my first Wine Spectator award when I was 26 or 27 years old. Um, and so, and then I took over. I worked in a company of boutique hotels. We had 3 boutique hotels, and at one point I was running 2 of them.
Right.
Um, and then I burnt myself out, and I took a
Ah,
break. But by the
there's right, but there's another story
Yeah,
right there,
yeah,
Corey.
yeah.
I mean,
But by the time I was 28, I had gotten some accolades. I think I'd won 3 Wine Spectator awards and been written up as one of the top dining rooms in the country, and we just had a lot of accolades coming in. We were featured on a TV show.
right.
It was crazy, and I would thought I was living a champagne life, but I really had a beer budget, and, I was young, high ego. I thought I don't know that I really understood what was going on around me at that time. It was really, like, all about me, and I'm gonna charge hard and get this done.
but now, so that's another setback or realization. So now,
Yeah,
how
it
did
took
you
me a
move from
while.
that?
Yeah, I
So
can
how did
look
you?
back now and go, "Man, I was an asshole." But, you know,
What I'm saying, so that's interesting though. I mean, that's what
yeah,
people. This is interesting, right? Right. Okay, you had that incident with the first love, and then you
mhm,
came to the point where you worked your behind off to get something that you thought you wanted. And
yeah,
I've been there before. I
yeah,
mean, and I look at it like, oh my God, this is all what it is.
yeah,
And I know I sabotaged. I mean, it's like, I mean, I could tell you the story. I was number one in the company, thousands of people. We were at the banquet celebrating me for being number one. I got on the stage and I quit. Boom, dropped the mic. So,
wow,
so right. So what I'm saying is, but because I had some issues with myself
yeah,
that I
yeah.
needed to deal with. So, what do you think yours were at that point? You said burnout. What does that mean to you? Bespoke Human Potential Coaching sponsors this show. Bespoke helps CEOs, founders, and entrepreneurs get rid of those blind spots that they've been carrying around since childhood. So if you're stuck and have some blocks, click the link below for your clarity call or scan the QR code if you're on video. Let's get rid of those blinds. Now back to the interview.
You know, I think my issue was I didn't have the experience or the capacity to do the job I was doing, so all I could
Mm,
do was work my tail off.
right,
And I was, it's hospitality, so when everyone's on vacation, you're working and, you would work 5, 6 days a week. It's hard work. You're on your feet. It's stressful. There's a lot of demands. Um, and at a point, it really, I just got burnt out. And so what I did, quit, and I went and lived in Banff, and I took a job serving tables for the summer and rock climbed as much as I could.
okay,
And then in the middle of August, one of my employees at the hotel I was running had an address to every restaurant, bar, and hotel in the Cayman Islands. So he gave them to me. So I hand wrote an envelope for every one of those and put my resume in it. And like on
right.
August 15th, I went down in the mailbox and dropped them all in the mail and sent them all to the Cayman Islands. And then waited for the phone to ring.
So did it ring?
Yeah, I ended up going to the Cayman Islands for a year.
Okay, but now you got the Cayman Islands, you work down there, but now you're here. So
Yeah.
what happened in between there? I mean,
Yeah. So
that's a big jump from hospitality to now formulating. I think you said you were introduced by Vistage, right?
Vistage, yeah. So yeah,
So what
it's a
happened
long
there? That's
story,
that's a
story,
that's the
Curtis.
third there, Corey.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm in the Cayman Islands, and then that's where I meet my now wife. Well, no, I met her working at the hotels before I went to Cayman. But when I went to
Right,
Cayman, that's really she came down and worked for me down there for a summer. She was still in school. Don't forget, I'm still a young man. I'm not an old guy at this
right,
point. So, and then we end up, kind of falling in love and moving back together. And the company I worked for when I got all burnt out, I kind of called them. I had a job lined up and I called them for a reference and they offered me to come back. So I ended up going back with them. Then 9/11 happened.
right.
Fine dining. I'm in Calgary, Alberta at that time, and kind of everything just kind of changes.
Yes,
And I end up in corporate restaurants for like 3 or 4 years. And I call them soul stealers.
right.
I'm used to working for independents, being creative, creating programs, and having a voice in how things are done. I end up in a corporate restaurant. They say, "Yeah, yeah, that's great. Just do it our way." They work you like a dog. There's no creative outlet. So that's where I got it. So I left corporate and got into agency recruiting.
Okay,
Still in Calgary, Alberta at this time. Then in that agency, I partner with the owner of that agency, and we create our own agency. Then I buy him out and go out on my own. My wife at that time is working in oil and gas, and she gets an opportunity to come to Houston. So that's what brings us to Houston in 2014 is her job. It's funny, whenever we're together, people will look at me and say, "Oh, you work in oil and gas? Is that why you're here?" And I'm like, "Nope, it's her. She's
somebody,
the reason we're here.
somebody working hard, oil and gas in Houston. So now, so
Must be
now
a man."
that's kind of where you are now. Then I mean, that's what
That's where I
brought you
am in
to where you
Houston.
are.
And when I landed in Houston, I started networking. And this guy, I can't even remember his name anymore, but he kept taking me to lunch and talking to me about Vistage. And I kept coming home and saying to my wife, "I don't know. this guy keeps talking about Visage. I have no idea what it is. I have no idea what he's talking about. So he invited me to a group, and it's like a peer group,
Yeah.
essentially. And so I went and I loved it. So I joined a group. And at that time, I was working for another agency here in Houston because I'd landed here. I got my, we got our permits pretty quickly. My wife got hers when she crossed over because she already had a job, and I got mine, and they put me to work. And I had a concept. I wanted to kind of get back to doing my own thing. And so I kind of had this concept. I presented it to the group, and we had some amazing people in that group. They were so smart, way smarter
Right.
than me. And so we had a B2B CFO, and Michael, and he's like, "How are you going to make money on this, Corey?" I'm like, "I don't know." So he took me for lunch. He's like, "Here's a pricing structure. What about this?" And we talked about it. We had an EOS implementer named Rainey in the group, and she's like, "How are you going to deliver this?" I said, "I
Right.
don't know." And she's like, "Let's go to lunch." And so we worked it out. We had a sales guy in the group, and he's like, "How are you going to sell it?" And so all these people helped me develop Key Hire.
Right.
And I had a model, and then I went to my chair and said, "Hey, I want to try this out. Do you have any people in your other CEO groups or owner groups that would be willing to do it for free for 3 months? So I just want some feedback from them." So I had 3 people take me up on that. I did 3 months worth of work for them. And then I sat them down and said, what's your feedback? And they all said, "Yeah, we don't want this. What you're
Hmm.
selling us is not what we want. Here's what
Wow.
we want." So I had to reframe the whole model, and that was kind of that was the beginnings of what it is today. So it's been a really cool journey, but just leveraging, I mean, good people wanting to help and willing to put their hand up and say, "We'll try it." And in fact, one of the people I demoed it with when I changed the model, they were the first client that I signed.
Wow. I mean, that's the story there. I mean, you're talking about another setback, right? You drop yourself in a new city around new
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
with really nothing, and then you
Yeah.
decide
We
to
didn't know
create
anyone.
something.
Correct.
Right. You
Yeah.
didn't know anyone, and you decide to create something, and now you have what you have now. Where we
Mhm.
started out the story. So now, what what was it that you learned from that? That's interesting. That even though you had this drive from this incident that happened years ago,
Yeah.
but the story actually kind of started to truly unfold when you made it to Houston and you started to make a life for yourself and you created
Yeah. It's,
Haywire.
Houston has been, uh, we're very fortunate to have landed in Houston, our family. It's been very good to our family, and we're very grateful for the situation we're in. Um, I think what I learned when I got here, in particular about being a part of a Vistage group, was I'm not nearly as smart as I thought I was. There are a lot of smart people out there, and sometimes you just got to shut up and listen, take your lumps, um, explore, be curious. Vistage has this really cool issue processing where when it's time to give feedback, the person who's getting the feedback,
Right.
all they can say is "thank you."
Yes.
They can't say, "Yeah, but no, no, no." All you
Right.
can say, so you just have
No
to,
explanation. No
no, you
explanation.
just
No
have to kind of sit
excuses.
there while 10 people go around the table and tell you what you need to fix and how you can do things better, and they do it in a very kind way. It's not
Right.
like,
Right.
but it's very direct, and I appreciate direct, but I really learned that, um, it's been me against the world for a long time. So I thought, it's a hard way to do it. There's a
Yes, it
lot
is.
of amazing people out there who, if you ask them for help, are willing to help you, and the extent of which they're willing to help is mind blowing, right?
Wow.
So I learned to be patient. I'm learning to be patient. I'm learning to be curious. I'm learning that I'm probably wrong, and uh, I'm learning how to ask people for help.
One of the things I tell my clients all the time is that it's okay not to be okay. But
Yeah, I've been through that. Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's not but it's not okay to pretend that you are okay and
yeah,
you're not.
yeah,
And I think for me, what I'm hearing from you is like, wow, I finally realized that it's okay for me to ask for help. That doesn't make me a less of a person
no,
because I ask for
correct.
help, right?
Yeah, that is exactly it, right? As a man, There's a lot of ego, right? And I told
Yeah.
you before I was a very high ego. I would say I'm still a pretty high ego individual. I'm
Right.
working on, but when you're high ego, admitting you're wrong or asking for help is a really hard thing to do. But you know, your kids and your spouse and your children can teach you a bunch of humility in a hurry.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
that's probably what's helping me out here, Curtis, is I got 3 people here that are willing to tell me how wrong I am all the time.
Wow. Yeah, I know that. I know that feeling, with 3 kids and a wife that has been she been with me on this journey with me for over 30, almost 35 years next in March. So I understand that. That's important, but it's interesting now where you are now. Now, how is that affecting your business now? So what did the transformation kind of teach you? I mean, Bespoke Human Potential Coaching sponsors this show. Bespoke helps CEOs, founders, and entrepreneurs get rid of those blind spots that they've been carrying around since childhood. So if you're stuck and have some blocks, click the link below for your clarity call or scan the QR code if you're on video. Let's get rid of those blinds. Now back to the interview.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the biggest thing is it's not personal. When
Wow.
you're a solopreneur or own a small business and someone tells you your baby's ugly, it's hard not to take it personally, right? When they say, "Yeah, I don't like it," or "You did a bad job," or
Right.
You didn't deliver on what you said," or "I don't wanna work with you," whatever it is, or they don't wanna sign the contract.
Right.
I used to get so angry about that. I call my wife and say, "You gotta talk me off the ledge here. I'm upset about it," because
Right.
like, why wouldn't you wanna work with me? I wanna help you, you know?
Right. Right. Right.
And now I'm like, it's not personal. It's just people being people, and, you gotta ask the questions, and if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be, and if it is, you do your best, and sometimes it still doesn't work out, but you can't, beat yourself up too much. As long as you can look yourself in the mirror and say, "Look, did I do what I needed to do? Did I
Right.
do what I said I would do?
Yes.
Maybe I did. Okay, then maybe it's on me. Maybe I didn't meet the threshold, and that's on me. I screwed up. But sometimes you do everything you should, and it still doesn't work out, and it just didn't work out.
Right. And that's interesting though, because that's a hard one for most of us to even kind of even fathom of not taking it personal.
It's so hard, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, because it's easy for me to teach it, right? When I'm
Yeah,
coaching individuals to not take it personal,
yeah,
but because we do have egos, we do have feelings, but
yeah.
it's now we just have to process that. Like you said before, you separated the actions from you as an individual.
I'm
That doesn't
trying,
mean that
trying.
doesn't. Yeah, I mean, well, that's the most difficult part, really, Corey, is
That
the fact
is,
that
yeah,
it's like, how can I separate this from me as an individual?
yeah,
And it takes practice, it takes rehearsal. It's like, okay, because sometimes we get in this thing, or I am a failure, or I am this. No, you're not. I
yeah,
failed at that, which is
yeah,
okay. That's there, but I'm not that, meaning, or I feel like this, and that's okay, but that's not who I am. And I think
yeah.
the realization of that. So, like when you're talking to individuals now who are in a similar place to where you are right now, or maybe feeling a little bit like, wow, the world doesn't always work out like we want it to work out. What would you want them to know?
Um, there's he's controversial, but the comedian Ricky Gervais, whether you like him or not, he has one line. He said, "No one gets to go through life and never be offended." Right? Like how dare you think you can go through life and never be
Right.
offended? And so I think it's not always going to go your way. And if you think it is, or the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? And the other expression is you plan, God laughs. Like
Mhm.
it's you can do everything in your power to do
Right.
right and deliver, and sometimes it just doesn't work out, and you have to be able to find peace in those struggles. You have to
Wow.
be able to separate it. You have to be able to do a bit of a postmortem
Mhm.
and honestly look and go, yeah, that's on me.
Okay.
Or it's not on me. I I did what I've done 100 times for every client, and they've told me it was the best thing they've ever seen, and this
Right.
particular person just it wasn't ready to receive it or whatever it was.
Right.
And I think that's the key is and you can't do it immediately because if you take it personally, it can ruin your day, it can ruin your weekend, right? Like
Right.
you can go home and just have a knot in your stomach about something that went wrong for days. So you need to be able to forgive yourself and just once you have time to marinate, be able to sit down by yourself and go, okay, is it on me? Could I have done better? Or and if honestly, when you look, you're always going to find something you could have done better every time.
Well, yeah, I mean, for sure.
But it's
I mean,
is that the tipping point? Is that the thing that
right,
you're
right,
probably and then you have to go, yeah, but that's not it.
right.
That's not enough to do it. And if it's not on you, then you have to be okay with it. And if it's on you, you have to then say, okay, I'll give you a great example. So I just wrapped up with this client and they were a great client, but everything, because we have a very unorthodox, different uh, process, right? It cuts against the grain of what the way people hire
Right,
on every
right.
level. And I worked with this company and they were so used to the regular way of doing things. Every time we did something, they were kind of like, whoa, what's going on here? Is this, and so we'd have to get on these calls and kind of talk it out. And at the end, I did a postmortem with him and just kind of said, hey, what did you think of the experience? And he kind of told me what his thoughts were. And then he asked me, I hope you didn't think we were too hard to work. I said, actually, I love working with you guys. And what I learned is I've become so comfortable with my own process. I just assume everyone else is comfortable with it too. And what
Right.
I learned working with you guys is I have to step back and really explain it better. Um, and that's on me. That was on me. That's not their bad. That was 100% on me. I just was just like, yeah, you guys understand it. Let's go. And they were like, we don't understand it. So that was a huge learning for me. Like I got to slow down and assume or ask the question
That's right.
and just make sure people understand what's happening next and what the process is and give them a chance to get any questions answered so we can just be a little more seamless, right? It worked out great. Everyone's excited. We rocked it. They're happy. We're happy. But my learning was like slow down and just make sure don't assume people know what you know.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the whole idea, even for my process, obviously I have a framework in which I work from, and I know that everybody's different. And so one of the things I try to do, I take the framework, but I'm still going to utilize it based on what's coming from you, Curry,
Yeah.
what's coming from my client, because of the fact that I know it works. But like you said before, you realize that, yeah, I see it, but they don't see it. And so I have to take smaller steps in order for them to get there,
Do
I
you
think.
find you have to get them to a place where they trust you? Would you say that's
Yes.
this? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, oh, absolutely. Basically, the whole ideal of what we do and what I do, especially, and what everybody does, is that a person has to, in some point, like you and trust you, because when they trust you, that's when they totally allow themselves to go through the process.
Yeah. I
It's just
agree.
like, hey, yeah, they allow themselves to go through the process. If not, like you said before, I think you have to build a little bit more trust. And the more trust you build with them, they allow you to kind of come into their world and make the changes that was necessary in order for them to get what they needed. And they got that. And that was the most important thing. So Curry, now tell the audience before anything else. I mean, great story. I think the great learning is all about that's the legit mindset for me in a nutshell. I'm going through life. Life is a journey. Life is never a straight line,
No.
right?
Yeah.
It's like, even though I want it to be, even though most people want you to think it is, it's not. So there is going to be some ups, some downs, some turns, some corners, and I have to have what Tony Robbins named sensory acuity. I have to be continuing to move until I get the goal, but I'm not going to stop until I get there.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, the learning is what you learn from this last process is that even though I know my process is great, I can slow down and I can utilize it in a different way to make sure that the client get what they need.
Yeah.
So so right now, before we wrap up, let the audience know how they can stay connected to you, like your website or your social
Sure.
media platforms.
Yeah. I mean, LinkedIn's a great way. I think I'm the only Corey Harlock on LinkedIn, so just punch that in and you'll see me pop up here. The website keyhire.solutions. It's not a .com, it's keyhire.solutions. That's the URL. You can learn a bit about us there. Those are probably the best ways.
All right, great, great, great. Well, all the links and stuff are going to be in the show notes, guys. If you want to get in touch with Curry, great guy. I mean, I really appreciate him sharing his story with us, and I thank you for tuning in to the Legit Mindset. In today's episode, I hope it inspired you. If it did, please share it with a friend. Leave a review. And if you are ready to uncover your own personal blind spots, something that's happened in your life that you really can't figure out, and you keep hitting this invisible wall, please just reach out to me. You can book a free clarity call at bespokehumanpotentialcoaching.com. Remember, guys, that real stories, real setbacks, and real growth, that is the legit way. Make it a great day.